Hey everyone, my name is Kevin and welcome back to XaclainPlays Records. Today, I'm going to make the RUMI61 better. This is a basic modding video and these are what I personally do when I receive any keyboard. In the case of the RUMI61, I used it as stock for a week just to fully test it, and it really is a great budget board to have. Any major gripes I have with the board can easily be fixed with these simple mods. Just a warning, if you're uncomfortable in doing these kinds of mods, I suggest letting some of your friends or other members of the keyboard community do this for you. And also, sound and feel are subjective to the individual. What may sound good to me may sound horrible to you. So, with that out of the way, are you ready to make your board feel and sound better? Let's go! Before we begin, these are the mods I will be doing to the RUMI61. Alternatively, if you have the budget and the time for it, you can choose to do these. Please note that these mods can be done to other keyboards as well. These are the things you would need to work on your keyboard. Some of these items are optional and would definitely be a quality of life kind of thing. So if you plan to get more keyboards and do modifications on them, these are a few things I would highly recommend you getting. First, you need a keycap puller. This is a wired keycap puller I got from Kyushu and Shopee. You have the option to use the stock keycap puller RUMI provides you, but I would honestly replace that and buy something like this. The stock keycap puller may scratch your more expensive aftermarket keycap sets, so please consider yourself warned. Second, you can choose to buy a stem picker. This is used to hold the stems of the switch and even the stabilizers while you apply the lube. This really isn't necessary, but it is one of those things that would make your life easier. Trust me. Third is a switch puller. RUMI has a switch puller included in the box, but it isn't as comfortable to use as this IC puller, and it doesn't cost that much too. Alternatively, you can also get the Gateron switch puller. This is quite expensive, but it is worth it for me if you want to easily remove the switches. Also, I am giving away a brand new Gateron switch puller to celebrate reaching 100 subscribers. This giveaway is only available for the residents in the Philippines, and if you want to join, please stick around for the mechanics. Fourth, you would need a Phillips head screwdriver, or if the budget allows, a screwdriver set with different bits. This is a great tool to have, especially if you plan to have different keyboards. Fifth, tweezers. Tweezers are really great to have in holding parts such as springs and other small parts. I would count it as a must-have, but other people might say it is optional, so this is really up to you, but I recommend having these. 6 is a switch opener. These are optional, but would definitely hasten the opening of the switches. Alternatively, you can use a flathead screwdriver or tweezers instead. 7th, you would need lube. I use Krytox 205G0 to lube the switches and the stabilizer housing, stems, and bars. I also use Krytox 105 for the springs of the switches. Now, since we are lubing switches, you would need a bunch of containers to hold the bottom housing, the switch stem, top housing, and springs. Optionally, you can opt to buy a lubing station. This adds comfort in doing this very tedious part of modding. Now, shout out to my friend Keebzilla for having the lube, the tools, and the lubing station on stock. You can check out his page linked below for your keyboard needs. You would also need band-aids, a brush, and a flush cutter. Now, onto the build. So the first thing we need to do is remove all the keycaps. We would then need to unscrew these screws. Once you have done this, you can slowly pull up the PCB away from the case. Please be careful as the RUMI61's battery port is hot glued to the connector, so you will have to work on this while the PCB is connected to the battery. There's also a clear tape that is placed on the case to stop the wire from moving around. I did remove mine so I can easily work on the case better. Once I had access to the case, I added foam. These are foam I got from a chair I bought before, and I have used these with different builds too. It has worked so far, but I do plan to buy better ones soon. I first tried just cutting the part of the foam where the battery was placed and reinstalled everything, but the board felt too stiff and the access to the power switch on the back was already affected. so I had to cut the foam down to pieces so that it will fit the case. Please note that I had to remove the foam from the bottom part of the case as it was still too tight. Next, we have to remove all the switches from the case. Once all the switches are removed, we now have access to the stock stabs of the RUMI61. There's a small locking mechanism that holds the stabs to the plate. You can slowly press on these and slowly lift the stabs from the plate. You can dismantle the stabs by pulling the stab bar in an upwards direction. Now you can fully dismantle the stabs and we can start modding them. These stock stabs did come pre-lubed, so I had to clean it out. Once this is done, you can then start clipping the stems. Unfortunately, the footage I took when I was doing this was corrupted. But not to worry, I reached out to Betty from Switch and Click, one of the best keyboard content creators in YouTube, if I could link their in-depth stabilizer modification guide. They said yes, so please check out the website. This will include how to lube, how to clip, and band-aid modding too. And of course, please subscribe to their YouTube page, which I will link down below. Thank you Switch and Click for saving this video. Once you're done following the guide, we can now work on the switches. For this build, I chose to lube and film the stock Gateron red switches. First, you have to take apart the switch. You'd need a flathead screwdriver, tweezers, or a switch opener for this part. There are a total of 4 clips that you would need to unlatch to open up the switch. Once open, you have access to the different components of the switch. Now for the rest of the switches, I chose to use my switch opener to make the process faster. For ease and convenience, I choose to bag lube my springs always. It's faster and gives a more even coat to the springs. Get a plastic bag and add all the springs inside. Add a couple of drops of Krytox 105, then seal the bag, just enough for you to blow into it to inflate the bag. You then seal the bag immediately after, then start shaking it. Do this for a minute or two. Once done, the springs are already lubed. For this video, I did get a lubing station. This is really optional, but since I do lube my own switches, this is great to have. This lubing station was made by a company called Kelowna, and it's made of thick acrylic and it feels very sturdy. Now comes the tedious and time-consuming part, lubing each part of the switch. This can take from 2 hours to half a day, depending on how fast you go about with this. But take your time and try to enjoy while listening to music or watching videos. I don't particularly like doing this part of any build, but it does make the feel of the switches amazing, so we need to do this. Take a small amount of lube that is enough to coat the brush in. You then lube these parts of the bottom housing as shown in the video. You then put the newly lubed springs on the bottom housing. You proceed to lubing the switch stem. For linears, we can lube every part of the stem, including the feet. For tactile switches, this is a matter of preference, as using Krytox 205G0 and lubing the legs would somewhat lose tactility the switches had. Now put them on the springs. Make sure the feet of the stems are facing the contact points of the bottom housing. This is the part where you can add film. A switch film is used to help reduce stem wobble. This also gives a better sound. This is optional, but again, you're already opening up the switches, so why not just add them in? Once this is done, you can just close up the switch. I personally add some lube on the top housing to where the stem would hit it. It is my preference, but you can skip this part as well if you prefer not to do it. Congratulations, you have lubed your first switch. Now do this 60 more times. Let's put all the switches back to the case. Please be mindful of the switch's metal pins as these might be bent, so always double check them before putting them back in. I already did this off camera and even some of the switches got bent when I placed them back in, so be extremely careful. Now, with everything back into place, here's a sound test. So that's it for the video. I apologize for releasing this video quite late as I got super busy. Now, for the mechanics for the 100 subscriber giveaway. First, you would need to subscribe to XaclainRecords. Next, follow me on Instagram at XaclainRecords and also like my Facebook page, XaclainPlays. Lastly, you will need to comment on this video anything you'd like, but please include your IG handle so I can check if you followed the instructions. That's it. The winner will be receiving a brand new Gateron Red Switch Puller, and this is only open to the residents of the Philippines at the moment. I'm sorry to all my international subscribers, and I promise we will have one soon that can include you guys. Thank you so much for 100 subscribers, everyone. As I kept editing this video, the numbers have grown and we are now close to 150. Our next goal is 500 subscribers and I'll have another giveaway then. Now, to the outro! Thank you very much for watching. If you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to XaclainPlays Records and hit the notification bell to receive updates on when my videos come out. Please like this video if you liked it, and if you didn't, let me know why. See you guys soon. Bye!